Welcome once again to the Country Music Unknown Legends podcast. Today on the podcast, we are featuring an unknown legend who is a Rockabilly Hall of Fame member that unfortunately lived a troubled life with a tragic end. I am your host, John Mathis Jr. Yes, not all the stories of musicians here on the podcast will have a happy ending. Many times, artists and musicians lived the lifestyle of the lyrics of the songs they sang. Sadly, this seems to be the case with today's featured artist, Tommy Blake. Tommy Blake was born Thomas Levon Givens in Dallas, Texas in 1931 to a rough start in life for a kid. He was born to a single mother, and therefore he never knew his father growing up. He did not have a good relationship with his mother and could never do right in her eyes. By his teen years, Tommy was imprisoned on charges of rape. And by 1951, with the Korean War going on, Tommy joined the United States Marine Corps. It was during his service in the Marines that he lost an eye, which Tommy claimed it was while on duty in the Korean War, but the circumstances are unclear as to how that happened. It was also there in the military that Tommy began to pursue his ambition of being a professional musician, so he would frequently entertain his fellow enlisted men by singing and playing the guitar. Once he left the Marine Corps, he settled in Shreveport, Louisiana. The Louisiana hayride was popular and in its heyday, and rockabilly music was rising in popularity. Tommy pursued his music career further when he settled in Shreveport. He started working as a DJ for the radio station KTBS and later for KRUS. In 1954, he persuaded the Rhythm Rebels, a duo featuring Carl Adams and Eddie Hall, to be his backing group, and he began touring on the live circuit and appearing on Southern television programs to gain exposure as Tommy Blake and the Rebels. Tommy had closely observed the approach of Elvis Presley, whose performances on the hayride convinced Tommy to adopt the characteristics of rock and roll. To capitalize on this craze for rockabilly, which had begun to dominate the American charts, he recorded his debut single, Cool It, spelt with a K, in 1956. Cool It was issued by Young Records in April, but it failed to chart. Tommy Blake and the Rebels had already been touring and playing shows, including the Big D Jamboree in Dallas, Texas. And in 1956, that saw Tommy begin to make some regular appearances on the famed Louisiana hayride. In 1957, Tommy arranged a one-off single deal with RCA Records producer Chet Atkins in Nashville to record 4 songs. Atkins hired a collection of session musicians, including Buddy Killen, Ferris Coursey, and Floyd Kramer, to record the rhythm sections. The session, which included the original songs Honky Tonk Mind and All Night Long, was given the full rockabilly treatment, and it showed Tommy's potential as a songwriter. This is where Tommy tried to cash in on Honky Tonk Mind by offering it to Johnny Horton, who was on Columbia Records, RCA Records competition. Columbia Records quickly released Horton's version in April 1957 under the title The Woman I Need, and Horton enjoyed a top 10 hit on Billboard's country charts while Tommy's rendition was shelved. RCA record executives advised Chet Atkins to release the other 2 songs recorded from Tommy's session, Freedom and Mr. Hoodie, then nullified his recording contract, putting an end to Tommy's work with RCA. That did not stop Tommy. He accepted a deal with Sun Records after Sam Phillips met him at a disc jockey convention in Memphis, the same Sun Records that had launched the first singles on Elvis Presley. Tommy recorded at the label's famous RCA Studio B and was the first recording artist to do so. Elvis would eventually record over 200 songs in this historic studio. Sun Records released Tommy's single, Flatfoot Sam, on September the 14th, 1957. It sold well in regional markets and earned him his first taste with success. In fact, the success of that single gave confidence to Sun Records to bring Tommy back for a follow-up recording session that resulted in 9 songs. Among the songs recorded during that session was Ballad of a Broken Heart, written by Tommy and later recorded by Johnny Cash under the title of Story of a Broken Heart. Sweetie Pie and I Dig You Baby, 2 more songs from the session, were paired together for a single in 1958, but the release sold poorly. Since Tommy was having little success with writing rock and pop songs, he developed a songwriting partnership with Jerry Ross to work for country artists. In 1959, Tommy began collaborating with Carl Ballou, an established songwriter who had a few successes already under his belt. Together, Tommy and Carl Ballou would achieve their biggest success as collaborators with the song Tender Years. However, they sold the rights of the song to Darrell Edwards for $100, who pitched it to George Jones in 1961. Jones took the song to the #1 spot on the country charts. Tommy and Carl Ballou's songwriting partnership is credited with a number of charting hits recorded by Stonewall Jackson, Jim Reeves, and Mel Tillis, among others. In fact, over the years, Tommy would have his songs covered by artists like Dean Martin, Burl Ives, Patsy Cline, and Tammy Wynette, as well as receiving 2 BMI citations of achievement for the songs Too Much to Lose, a top 20 by his co-writer Carl Ballou, and the Ray Price chart hit, Sweetheart of the Year. Unfortunately for Tommy, when he was running low on money, he sold his songwriter's shares to some of these hit songs for some quick cash. Tommy continued to record various one-off singles for different record labels as an artist in the late 50s and 60s, but none with much success for him. He became disenchanted with the music business in the 60s and frustrated by his inability to have a successful hit song as an artist. I was saddened when researching the life of Tommy Blake to see that he never knew his father. I've had several friends in my life who grew up with the same circumstances. There is this inner emotion and drive to prove something, to achieve a self-determined, almost unattainable goal that says, see, I'm worth something, I was valuable. And most of their life is spent between the pursuit of value and the battle of feeling a suffocating rejection. This seemed to be the battle that Tommy Blake fought in his life and was probably among the contributing factors to his struggle with alcoholism throughout the majority of his life. While he received some notable credits with his songwriting, he still fell short of what he truly wanted in his pursuit for fame, and that was a hit song as an artist. In 1972, Tommy had a heart attack and swore off the pills he was using and the booze, but that was short-lived. And at the age of 54, Tommy Blake's life would end tragically as he was shot by his wife on Christmas Eve 1985 in the garage of their house in Houghton, Louisiana. She was initially charged with second-degree murder, but the charges were eventually dropped. Tommy Blake, he's a Rockabilly Hall of Fame inductee, a recipient of 2 BMI citations of achievement, a Sun Records recording artist, and he had a live performance released on the Grammy-nominated At the Louisiana Hayride Tonight CD box set issued by Bear Family Records of live hayride performances. Quite a few notable accomplishments in his career, and he has been our featured Unknown Legend today. Thank you for listening to the Country Music Unknown Legends podcast. Be sure and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends.